Ethan adjusted the strap of his medkit as he walked through the dusty corridors of the field hospital. On the remote moon of Kythera, the sun had already dipped below the jagged horizon, leaving the outpost bathed in a cold blue light. Despite the peacekeeping mission, tension never fully left the air. Reports of skirmishes in nearby regions kept everyone alert, and the hum of machinery and distant gunfire were constant reminders that danger was always near. He had been on Kythera for nearly 6 months, treating soldiers injured in firefights and civilians caught in the crossfire. As a human medic, he had learned to suppress fear and rely on steady hands, quick thinking, and calm words. Tonight, like many nights before, he was ready for whatever might come through the doors, even if it meant facing the unexpected. A sudden alarm shattered the quiet. Red lights blinked across the walls and a deep siren pulsed in rhythm with Ethan's heartbeat. The speaker crackled with a voice he barely understood, warning of an unknown landing near the perimeter. "Another skirmish," he muttered, grabbing his medkit. Soldiers rushed past, their armor clanking with urgency. Ethan followed instinctively toward the hangar bay, where the perimeter sensors had detected the object. As he emerged outside, the cold wind hit his face. Moon dust swirled violently, stinging his eyes. In the distance, a figure crashed onto the rocky ground. Sparks flew as something metallic struck the terrain, and a plume of smoke rose from the landing point. Ethan squinted. The silhouette was humanoid, but unlike anything he had ever seen. It moved awkwardly, staggering as if each step caused immense pain. "Medic," a soldier shouted, but Ethan ignored him. Something told him that this wasn't a soldier from either side. They wouldn't be in this condition unless something had gone terribly wrong. He sprinted across the uneven surface, boots kicking up small clouds of dust. When he reached the figure, he crouched down carefully. The armor was scorched and cracked, revealing glimpses of silvery scaled skin beneath. He removed the helmet carefully, bracing himself for the unknown. The face beneath it was unlike any human's. Golden eyes glimmered faintly in the dim light, sharp and defiant even in pain. "Stay still," Ethan said softly, his hands moving instinctively to check injuries. She hissed and tried to recoil, claws scraping lightly against his gloves. I don't need help," she growled. Her voice was melodic yet commanding, filled with pride and fury. "I don't care what you need," Ethan replied calmly. "You're bleeding badly. I'm going to help you whether you like it or not." Her gaze sharpened, studying him as though trying to gauge his weakness. She expected fear, hesitation, or anger. Instead, she saw calm concern. There was no pretense, no calculation. He was here to do one thing: help her survive. Reluctantly, she let him work. Ethan tore strips of cloth from his medkit and applied them carefully to slow the bleeding from deep cuts along her arm and side. He spoke in a low, steady tone, explaining each step, hoping that words could calm as much as his hands. I escaped," she admitted quietly, though her pride kept her posture rigid. "My father. He wanted me in the fleet. I refused." "They are hunting me." Ethan glanced at her, eyebrows slightly raised. "Your father sent soldiers after you?" "Yes," she said, voice trembling slightly despite her efforts to stay strong. "I will not fight in the name of something I do not believe in." The admission shocked him. Most beings he treated were simple civilians or soldiers following orders. Here was someone of royal blood, risking her life for her own choices. He realized this made her brave in a way humans often understood but rarely saw in others. As he worked, she winced at every touch, but Ethan's steady hands and soft words slowly earned her trust. By the time he finished dressing her wounds, she was exhausted, leaning weakly against him for support. Suddenly, a group of Zarinth soldiers appeared over the ridge, moving with precision and deadly intent. Humans nearby raised their weapons, prepared for confrontation, but Ethan instinctively stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me," she said weakly. Her golden eyes burned with determination even as her body faltered. The soldiers paused. They had been trained to expect fear from humans, yet here was a man who did not flinch, whose hands were calm, whose gaze was steady. She growled, stepping forward despite her injuries. "Touch him, and I will destroy you," she warned. The soldiers hesitated, surprised by the princess's presence and her defiance. After tense moments, they withdrew, warning that the king himself would come for her. Ethan helped her lower to the ground. "I owe you my life," she whispered, "and I will repay it." Ethan nodded, offering a faint smile. You don't need to repay me. I did what I had to do. She studied him, still breathing heavily, and something in her expression softened. For the first time, she realized that not all beings would treat her as a weapon, as a pawn, or as royalty. Some might simply see her as a life to protect. Over the next few days, Ethan worked tirelessly to help her recover. Soldiers from both sides were uneasy, but he never left her side. Despite her pride, Kayla, he learned that was her name, began to talk, sharing fragments of her life, her struggles with the strict rules of her people, and the weight of her father's expectations. Ethan listened, offering quiet encouragement, never judging. One night after the camp had quieted down, Kayla sat beside the makeshift fire, her arm still bandaged and her breathing heavy. I don't understand humans, she admitted. Why would you help me? You could have walked away, left me to die. Ethan looked into the fire thinking, because someone needed help. That's enough reason for me. I don't care about who you are or what you've done. I care about who you are now. Kayla blinked, unaccustomed to such simple honesty. Most of her life had been filled with power struggles, demands, and expectations. No one had ever seen her as a person first. She found herself drawn to his calm presence, the way he did not seek to control or command. Suddenly, the communication system crackled. A voice echoed across the camp. Warning! Incoming vessel. High-ranking authority detected. The sky lit up as a massive Zarinth flagship descended slowly above the outpost. Its shadow engulfed the camp, and even the humans felt a shiver of awe and fear. King Dravok himself had arrived. Soldiers and medics alike froze as the colossal figure stepped out, towering, clad in crimson armor that glinted even in the dim light. His eyes scanned the camp, sharp and commanding. Ethan instinctively shielded Kayla with his body. Kayla rose slowly, leaning on Ethan for support. She stepped forward and addressed her father, her voice strong despite her weakened state. I ran away. I refused your orders, but this human, he saved me. If not for him, I would be dead. The soldiers around them stiffened. King Dravok's gaze shifted from his daughter to Ethan. Silence fell over the camp. Ethan met the king's eyes. He did not bow. He did not flinch. He simply stood there, steady and calm. The king's intense stare softened slightly, as if he were evaluating not just the human, but the courage it took to remain calm in the face of such power. My daughter owes you her life, the king said, voice deep and commanding. What is it that you ask in return? Ethan shook his head. I don't ask for anything. I helped her because she needed it. That's all. The king regarded him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he placed a war medallion in Ethan's hand. From this day forward, you are recognized as the royal guardian of Princess Kayla. Her safety is yours. Wherever she goes, you stand beside her. Kayla blinked, stunned. She had expected a reward, yes, but nothing like this. Ethan's hands trembled slightly as he accepted the medallion, realizing the weight of this responsibility. She smiled faintly, half amused, half serious. I told you I would repay you. Hope you're ready, human, because from now on, you belong to me. Ethan chuckled softly, exhaling as the tension in his shoulders eased just a bit. I'm a medic, not a warrior, he said. Kayla's grin was sharp, mischievous. Then I'll teach you. For the first time, Ethan realized that his life was no longer just about saving lives on a small, dusty moon. It was about navigating a world of alien politics, royal obligations, and battles that would test not just his skills but his courage, heart, and humanity. And for the first time, he did not feel afraid. As the wind blew through the rocky plains of Kythera, human and alien stood side by side, bound by trust, compassion, and an unspoken promise that neither would face the dangers ahead alone. The massive shadow of the Zarinth flagship loomed over the human outpost, its engines vibrating the ground beneath Ethan's boots. Soldiers and medics alike glanced upward, tension heavy in the cool night air. King Dravok, towering in his crimson armor, stood near the edge of the camp, his eyes sharp and calculating, yet not without curiosity. The entire situation was tense, but Ethan felt a strange clarity. He had done what he could, and now the rest depended on Kayla, and the judgment of her formidable father. Kayla straightened, still leaning slightly on Ethan for support, and took a deep breath. Her golden eyes met her father's. I ran away because I refused to be used as a weapon. I do not fight for power or tradition. I fight for choice, she said, her voice steady despite her fatigue.
pierced her.
His reputation was legendary across the galaxy. Ruthless in battle, unyielding in authority, feared for his strategic brilliance. Ethan felt the weight of standing in his presence, yet he remained calm, holding Kayla's arm gently to support her. You claim to have choice, yet you put yourself in danger, Dravok said, voice deep and resonant. And yet this human, he aided you. Why? Ethan swallowed but met the king's gaze. Because she needed help. That is all. A tense silence followed. Dravok tilted his head, studying the human with an intensity that would have unnerved anyone else. Then slowly he nodded. Few humans possess courage and clarity like that. You are different from the others, he said. Kayla blinked, surprised at her father's words. She had expected anger, punishment, or at least harsh words. Instead, he acknowledged Ethan's bravery, and in a subtle way respected it. You have saved my daughter's life. That is a debt not easily repaid, Dravok continued. What is it that you desire, human? Wealth, power, protection? Speak, for the debt must be honored. Ethan shook his head. I do not want anything for myself. I helped her because it was right, not for reward. The king's eyes narrowed slightly, then softened. He studied Ethan for several long moments, his expression unreadable. Finally, he reached out and handed Ethan a war medallion, heavy with intricate engravings and glowing faintly with Zarenth energy. From this day forward, you are the royal guardian of Princess Kayla. Her safety is yours. Her honor is tied to yours. Wherever she walks, you stand at her side. Fail her, and you fail the trust of the Zarenth Empire. Ethan stared at the medallion in shock. He had expected nothing. And now he held the responsibility of a galaxy-spanning empire on his shoulders. Kayla's eyes widened in disbelief. I told you I would repay you, she said softly, stepping closer. Hope you're ready, human. From now on, you belong to me. I'm a medic, not a warrior, Ethan said with a small smile, though his heart raced. Kayla's grin was sharp, mischievous, and fierce. Then I will teach you. The next day, Ethan's life changed completely. The humans continued their duties, but now soldiers and medics alike looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. He walked with Kayla through the camp, helping her regain strength while also learning about her people, the Zarenth. Their culture was built around honor, strategy, and physical prowess, with strong leaders and fierce warriors. Kayla, despite being royal, had always felt constrained by these expectations. Now standing beside a human who did not judge her, she felt free for the first time in her life. Ethan listened carefully as she explained the Zarenth ways. We are trained from birth to fight, to lead, to obey the code of our empire, she said. But sometimes the code feels like chains, not guidance, he nodded. I think everyone deserves the chance to choose their own path, even if it's difficult. Kayla glanced at him, golden eyes reflecting a mixture of amusement and admiration. You may be human, but you understand more than most of my people ever could. Their growing respect was interrupted when a communication signal from the flagship blinked. Dravok's voice echoed across the camp. Princess Kayla, report your condition. Kayla stood taller despite her still healing wounds. I am stable, father. The human medic has cared for me well, and I am recovering. There was a pause, then Dravok's voice said, I will descend shortly. Prepare for inspection. The humans braced themselves. The king's presence always brought tension. When he arrived, Dravok stepped from the vessel with a calculated, commanding stride. Soldiers and medics immediately stood at attention, and the ground seemed to tremble under his authority. He examined Kayla carefully, noting her strength and composure, then turned his gaze to Ethan. You have kept her safe, human. That is commendable. Ethan bowed slightly, accepting the acknowledgement without arrogance. I did what was necessary. Dravok nodded. Then you shall continue in this role. You will accompany her, train alongside her, and learn the ways of the Zarenth. Your courage and wisdom will guide her as her strength will guide you. Kayla's jaw dropped slightly. She had expected a formal title, perhaps protection, but not an invitation to step fully into the world of her people, side by side with her. Over the following weeks, Ethan began training with Kayla. The exercises were grueling, designed to test both body and mind. He learned combat strategies, alien technology, and even how to navigate the intricate etiquette of Zarenth society. Kayla, once rebellious and proud, found herself relying on him in ways she had never imagined, and a mutual trust began to grow between them. One evening, as the twin moons of Kithera rose high in the sky, Ethan and Kayla stood on a cliff overlooking the barren plains. The air was crisp, the silence broken only by distant wind and the hum of the camp below. "You've changed since you arrived," Kayla said quietly, "not just in skill, but in perspective. You see value where my people see only rules." Ethan smiled faintly. "I see people, not titles. I see choice, not chains." Kayla laughed softly, a rare, genuine sound. "I think I like having a human by my side who refuses to bow to fear." He glanced at her, golden eyes reflecting the moonlight, and felt a surge of respect and admiration. "And I think I like having an alien princess who is not afraid to challenge the expectations of her own empire." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert from the camp. Sensors detected movement near the perimeter. Ethan and Kayla ran toward the source, prepared for the unexpected. They found a group of Zarenth warriors attempting a covert entry, testing Kayla's resolve and Ethan's readiness. Without hesitation, Kayla leapt into action, her strength returning in full. She moved with precision and elegance, deflecting attacks while Ethan used his training to anticipate and counter strategies. Together they worked seamlessly, human and alien moving in harmony. When the skirmish ended, Kayla turned to Ethan, breathing heavily but smiling. "You're learning faster than I expected," she said. "You're a good teacher," Ethan replied. "Even for a human who never trained as a warrior." In the weeks that followed, Ethan and Kayla became not only protector in charge, but allies, confidants, and eventually friends. They navigated diplomacy, battles, and political intrigue together, each day growing more in tune with the other's strengths. The humans in the camp came to respect the bond, realizing that courage and compassion could unite even the most unlikely of allies. One day, Kayla approached Ethan as he checked medical supplies. "Ethan, do you realize what your presence has done?" she asked. He raised an eyebrow. "I helped you survive. That's what it's supposed to do." Kayla shook her head, golden hair catching the sunlight. "No, you've done more than that. You've shown me that strength isn't just about armor or weapons. It's about integrity, compassion, and courage. And in showing that, you've earned my trust completely." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. "Then I'll continue to do what I can." The bond between them did not go unnoticed. King Dravok, observing from the flagship, acknowledged the change in his daughter. She had grown not only physically but emotionally, and Ethan had become an unexpected but invaluable influence. The king's respect for the human grew, recognizing that courage, loyalty, and kindness were virtues that transcended species. As the weeks turned into months, the outpost became a symbol of unity between humans and Zarenth. Ethan's calm presence and Kayla's strength inspired those around them. Together, they navigated political challenges, hostile encounters, and the ever-present threat of rebellion within the empire. At night, when the camp quieted, they would stand together on the cliffs, overlooking the vast plains, contemplating the future. The twin moons cast their glow over the rocky terrain, a reminder of the fragile beauty of life, the importance of choice, and the unexpected rewards that came from courage and compassion. One evening, Kayla turned to Ethan with a rare softness in her eyes. "You could have walked away at any moment. You chose to stay." "I couldn't," Ethan replied simply. "I don't abandon those who need help. That's who I am." Kayla smiled, a mixture of pride and warmth. "Then I owe you more than words can express. You are not just my protector, Ethan. You are my equal in every way that matters." He looked at her, understanding the depth of her words. Together they had faced danger, defied expectations, and forged a bond stronger than any weapon or decree. And though the path ahead was uncertain, they knew they would face it side by side, human and alien, healer and warrior, bound by trust, respect, and an unspoken promise that neither would face the galaxy alone. As the moon sank below the horizon and the first light of Kithera's,